You were given the choice between war and dishonor. You chose dishonor and you will have war. Winston Churchill said about Neville Chamberlain, who signed the Munich Agreement in September of 1938, ceding a region of Czechoslovakia to Hitler, a decision that Churchill highly criticized at the time. In order to understand the Munich Treaty completely, we must first learn of the events preceding it, namely the Treaty of Versailles. World War I officially ended with the Treaty of Versailles, which was signed in Paris on June 28, 1919. The treaty gave parts of Germany's land back to its rightful owners, compressed the German army to 100,000 men, banned the manufacture of armored cars, tanks, submarines, airplanes, and poisonous gas, took away all of Germany's colonies, and gave Germany an enormous economic burden to repay the Allies for the damage caused during World War I. Germany wasn't allowed to participate in the agreement. On March 13, 1938, Hitler carried out the Anschluss, annexation of Austria. With the Anschluss accomplished, Hitler turned his gaze toward Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia was officially founded in October of 1918 as one of the successor states of the Austro-Hungarian Empire at the end of World War I. It consisted of the present-day territories of Bohemia, Moravia, Slovakia, and Carpathian Ruthenia, and its territory included some of the most industrialized regions of the former Austria-Hungary. At the end of World War I, from 1918 to 1938, more than 3 million ethnic Germans were living in the Sudeten part of the newly created state of Czechoslovakia. Hitler wanted to take the Sudetenland, noting that by occupying Czechoslovakia, Germany gained 2,175 field guns and cannons, 469 tanks, 500 anti-aircraft artillery pieces, 43,000 machine guns, 1,090,000 military rifles, 114,000 pistols, about 1 billion rounds of small arms ammunition, and 3 million rounds of anti-aircraft ammunition. Since 1937, Hitler had been threatening Czechoslovakia on behalf of Germans living in the Sudetenland, initially demanding special rights for them. Unrest in the Sudetenland was stirred up by the Sudeten German Party, SDP. After its creation in 1931, the SDP worked to bring the region under German control and at one point became the second largest political party in the country. Hitler was prepared to use force to add the Sudetenland to the Great German Reich. France had a treaty commitment to defend Czechoslovakia. Great Britain had to support France but did not want to get drawn into a Central European war, and therefore declared that if France were to go to war, it would do so without the help of Great Britain. Chamberlain, hoping to sustain peace, arranged to meet with Hitler at Berchtesgaden on September 15th. After listening with patient concern, Chamberlain agreed to the dismemberment of Czechoslovakia. At a follow-up meeting in Bad Godesberg on September 22nd, Hitler increased his demands to include the immediate evacuation of the entire Sudeten territory. This evacuation, stated Hitler, would begin on September 26th and be complete in no more than 48 hours. Additionally, to weaken the remnant of Czechoslovakia even more, he demanded border changes in favor of Poland and Hungary on behalf of their own minorities. The parties met to refine their plans to please Hitler and avoid war. The outcome produced by the convergence of appeasement and Hitler's ambitions was ratified in a four-power conference held in Munich to resolve the details of ceding the Sudetenland to Germany. From the 29th to the 30th of September 1938, France, Germany, Great Britain, and Italy formalized the dismemberment of the Republic of Czechoslovakia by signing the document that is now known as the Munich Treaty. The Czechs did not know what was happening, however, because Britain and France told them frequently that if they refused to meet Hitler's reasonable demands and war ensued, they would fight alone. And so, on October 1st, 1938, German troops occupied the Sudetenland. Poland and Hungary also annexed lands from Czechoslovakia that contained their ethnic kin. On March 14, 1939, the German military occupied Bohemia and Moravia, establishing Protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia 2 days later. Meanwhile, Slovakia proclaimed independence and under Tiso became an ally of Nazi Germany. The third province of Czechoslovakia, the Subcarpathian Rus, or Ruthenia, renamed itself Carpathian Ruthenia, and in November 1938 changed its name again into Carpathia Ukraine. Each newly created province even used their own currency, with the exception of an ex-Carpathian Ruthenia, which started to use Hungarian currency. Mr. Daru's father was one of the last to escape from Czechoslovakia before the start of World War II.
My father was born in the house that I live in now, in 1915. In 1920, following the end of World War I, my grandfather and great-grandfather, who both came here to the United States to work in the coal mines so they could save money to go back and purchase property. At the end of World War I, the old Austrian-Hungarian Empire was dissolved, and where they went now became the Czechoslovakian Republic. Where they lived before the war, was the northeasternmost part of the Hungarian Empire. At the conclusion of the war, it became part of Ruthenia, which was a semi-autonomous province of Czechoslovakia. When Hitler dissolved Czechoslovakia, he broke it up into Bohemia and Moravia and the protectorate of Slovakia. The part of the Czechoslovak Republic that was Ruthenia was given back to the Hungarians, who were allies of the Germans. My father had his American passport, which was still valid. In 1940, my grandfather knew that they were going to induct most of the men of my father's age into the Hungarian army because they were getting ready, even though no one said anything, for the invasion of the Soviet Union. The neighbors offered my grandfather, they knew that my father was born in the United States and had the American passport. They'd offered him $10,000 in gold for his passport so they could send their son out. The neighbors were Jewish. My grandfather knew that if the Hungarian authorities found out, that the whole family would be arrested and most likely sent to concentration camps, if not executed. My father boarded the train from Budapest to Trieste. He said that he remembered when they crossed the Hungarian border into Yugoslavia, the Yugoslavian soldiers started ripping up the rails because they knew that an invasion from Germany was imminent. My father embarked on an Italian ship in Trieste, and he said that they just left the harbor. They were gone for a few hours. They could still see part of the facilities there. And he said all of a sudden the sky became dark with Italian and German airplanes. And soon they could hear, even though they were miles and miles out of port, they could hear the explosions of the bombs. The Italians and the Germans invaded Trieste. So my father was very fortunate. He just got out of the country in time.
The conflict was caused by the humiliation of Germany after the Treaty of Versailles, which led to Germany losing a significant amount of its territory, factories, and resources. Germany sought to expand its living space, Lebensraum, by annexing Austria and Czechoslovakia. Great Britain and France, desiring to appease Hitler, thought that they had found a compromise, the division of Czechoslovakia. This proved to be wrong, as it not only fortified Nazi Germany but eventually led to World War II. You were given the choice between war and dishonor. You chose dishonor, and you will have war.